one of the most important skills that we really do need to teach students, and we also have to model for students, is organizing our Google Drive. All of these little organizational tips, students need to be taught it, and it needs to be just referred to all the time and modeled every day. That way, they can actually learn from these skills and do it on their own. And one of those things is organizing your Google Drive. So I have a quick little Google Drive sample folder here that I threw in a couple of different files. We have a couple of docs, a slideshow, PDFs, etc. in here. And let's talk about some quick organization tips that we can show students right away. So the first thing you're going to notice that I have it set up where I can see it in grid view. And for some people, some students, some teachers, they don't like it in this way. They feel like it takes up too much space and they prefer the list layout. So if I go ahead and click on this button here, it changes the layout and the view that I see everything and changes it into a list. I personally don't like this method only because if I don't name things properly, and I also don't get to see a little like preview of the file, it's going to get a little bit tricky to name to find things and open things. So if I click that button again, it goes back to my grid layout that I personally prefer. And you can see the difference here that we can actually see a little preview of what that file is, what a file contains. The other method idea that I like to share with students is how to organize and sort these things. So right now it's organized by name, which is basically everything is alphabetical, which is helpful for really quick finding if you know a name of something right away. Another option you can do, and this is something that I prefer, if I click on name here, I could actually switch it to last modified. And if I flip this arrow around, it'll bring the most recent document at the top of the list and the things that are older down towards the bottom. The chances of you using a file that you opened yesterday is greater than a file that you opened like months or years ago. So this is my quick way of finding those files that I most likely am going to need and use. It's just easier to save those nanoseconds that way. So another important way to organize all of your files is to sort them by folders. As these files start to accumulate, it starts to get a little confusing and there's just too much to look at. It gets a little overwhelming. So what we can do, we can create folders and divide these up. So if I go over here and click on this new button, you'll see that we have lots of different options here of things that we can create brand new. So we're going to create a couple of folders here and start sorting these through. So if I click on new folder and start naming it, I'm actually going to sort these files by their file type. Might be a little bit easier for this example here. So I'm going to create one for docs. Create, have another one, new folder. We'll call it PDFs. And we'll create one more for Google Slides. So we'll go ahead and do that. There. So now we have those three folders and we can start populating them. But before I do that, another little tip and trick that can be very helpful for students in terms of organizing and finding their files and folders quickly is by color coding these folders. Now, when students are younger and teachers offer the students duotangs to start storing their things, a lot of teachers, if you ask them, they all have their own little color coded method for different subjects. So like mine, for example, math was always red, writing was always yellow. So we can do the same thing with our Google Drive folders here. So for slides, if I two-finger tap or right-click, we can actually change the color of the folder. For slides, I'm going to make it orange because the icon itself has a little bit of orange in there, so that might be a little bit helpful. PDFs, I'll make those red. And docs, since the icon has a lot of blue in it, I'm going to change this color blue. There we go. So it's a little bit easier to go ahead and find that. One other method I want to show in terms of finding things a little bit quicker is that we can actually add emojis to this as well. So if I go ahead and two-finger tap, we can go ahead and rename this. And then at the end of the Word docs, I'm going to once again right-click or two-finger tap on my mouse here and include an emoji. And we can see we have a wide variety of different emojis, and you can go ahead and find the one that suits the folder, the subject, the way, whatever you have here. So for this example, just to kind of go a little bit quicker here, I'm going to jump to a heart. I'm going to pick a blue heart. Maybe that's what I want for my docs folder. Go ahead and click OK, and we can see that that emoji is added for us. So again, when you're flipping through on your phone, or flipping through on your tablet and you're in Google Drive, you can find these folders a little bit quicker just because of the color or that emoji. Now to go ahead and populate these folders, we can do it a couple of ways. So we have all of these file types. We're going to start adding these files into the right folder. So quick and easy way, click on your mouse and drag it directly into the folder. So I'm going to start with that first assignment. We know we also have multiple files here that are also Google Docs. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pick more than one at the same time. There's a couple ways you can do that actually. I'm going to click this first one, hold down the control button and click the next one. And go back over here, control, click this one. So now I selected 3, now I selected 4 all at the same time. And we can actually just same thing, click and drag those files right into this folder. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those in there. Another way we can move files into specific folders, if we again 2-finger tap or right click on our mouse, we will see the option to move to. And this is helpful if you have a lot of files that you want to move. Maybe you're down deep in the file section of your Google Drive and you don't want to click and drag them all. So by going to move to, we can actually select the right file type here. So I actually picked an image. I'm going to go back and pick this PDF, do the same thing, move to, and we can see we have the folder for PDFs. I'm just going to double click on that and click move here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my Google Slides. Drop that in there. And I'm going to leave these last 2 here. All right, so that is now all nice and cleaned up. If I go into my docs, I can see I have all of my files in there. Slides, same thing. The last thing I like to share with students is even quicker organization. So we have these 3 folders. We know that the next assignment that we're going to create, the next file we're going to create is going to be a Google Slides. Why not have it save automatically in here so we can save that clicking and dragging or moving to the things that we have to do. This case, if we're going to create a brand new Google Slide, I just open my Google Slides folder, go over to new. I can see that I can add a new Google Slide. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to create a brand new Google Slides file for me. And the very first thing that every student, every teacher should do, again, something that should be modeled, is name this presentation. So I'm just going to quickly call it Slides Example. I'll even add it to the title slide as well. And that is it. And then if I go back to my Google Drive, I can see that that slideshow has already been added. The name's already been updated. And if I give it a few more seconds or add a few more slides, even the image is going to change for us too. So that way, like I said, the way I like it, I can see what's inside this slideshow. It's just a little bit easier for me to find. All right, so those are a quick couple of tips and tricks that you can do to help organize and clean up that Google Drive that you have for you and your students.